Patterns of Presence, Day 11. Matthew 11, verse 27 to 30. Jesus said, "All things have been committed to me by my Father. No one knows the Son except the Father, and no one knows the Father except the Son, and those to whom the Son chooses to reveal him. Come to me, all you who are wearied and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. My yoke is easy, and my burden is light." These are some really quite stunning words from Jesus that we often read, turn to, and reach out for in the moments when we feel, as Jesus describes, weary and burdened. But we rest in them for a little while and allow them to be our guide as we build into our lives a pattern of prioritising His presence. And as we look at Jesus' statement right off the bat, we are hit with a big and powerful truth. Alongside the comforting promise of rest for the weary, sitting next to the beautiful description of the gentle and humble-hearted Jesus, is a statement that is quite stark in comparison to the rest. It holds no punches. It's direct and to the point, and it's anything but flowery in its language. Jesus says, "All things have been committed to me by my Father." These are big words from Jesus. This statement is like a mic drop moment. Not much really needs to be said after this. But yet Jesus does say more. And in the more that is said, we find so much grace and goodness and unmerited favour. But before we can steer into the more, and before we can even begin to lead our soul into the experience of the more, we have to first grasp what Jesus lays down as the building block for all that He's about to say. As He moves from praying directly to the Father in the verses just before these, to now speaking to the crowd, His opening gambit is that which everything else He then says is built upon. All things have been committed to me by my Father. The reason that we, the wearied and burdened, can come to Him and find rest, the reason that we can experience His gentleness and journey in connection to Him, is because all things have been committed to Him by His Father. Some translations say all things have been entrusted to Him. In the dictionary, that means to give responsibility for a person or a thing to one in whom you have confidence. God created the whole world. He established it on the waters. He founded it upon the seas. He raised up the platform for life and dictated the laws of nature, the patterns by which life and living would operate. The complexities of science, the molecular structures, the laws of matter, the order of the cosmos, all of that He crafted and created out of the depths of His infinite wisdom and with His exceeding and unparalleled might. And all of it He entrusted to His Son. He gave responsibility of it all. He committed it to the one in whom resided His confidence. We live in a world that is so complex. It feels like it's ever-changing. The world goes to sleep on one day, never knowing what it will awake to. Tomorrow can hold in its grasp new discoveries, greater advancements, whole different levels of learning that will now begin to shape the rules for human life and living. With each new sunrise can come new political agendas, differing narratives that are played out on the world stage with what would seem to be no one really in control of the script. Tomorrow can hold catastrophes, calamities, disasters that weren't even in the awareness of today, but very much come to life in the reality of tomorrow. We can never know as we close our eyes on one day what the next will hold. We just know one thing. There will always be sunset, and there will always be sunrise. There is a today, and there will be a tomorrow. And there is one who is in charge of it all. The Father gave it to the Son. He had confidence in the Son to hold the contents of today and tomorrow within His grasp. He gave the responsibility for holding the tension of human decision and free will alongside the sovereign plan of God and the advancement of the kingdom upon the earth. And Jesus holds that tension not only within planet Earth, but within each of our own individual worlds and personal journeys. The Father committed and entrusted all things to Jesus. It seems then that if the Father has confidence in Jesus to hold all things in his grasp, then maybe we should as well. We aren't able to fully control or predict what happens within our today or how our tomorrow will outwork itself. But Jesus is able. We don't have the power to influence the momentum of the day, the course that the 24 hours are going to take, what lies within our waking and our sleeping. But Jesus does. We don't have the knowledge or wisdom to understand what must be and what mustn't, to recognise what in the big scheme of things lies within our best interests and what doesn't. We can't see how all the pieces fit together, as we only have capacity to hold in our grasp one piece at a time. The one piece that for a period of time we obsess over, stress over, fret over how it fits, where it should fit, should it even fit. But Jesus is able to hold that piece and all the other pieces of the great big jigsaw of life, to see the chips fall where they should be, and to help us through the things that maybe aren't good, but are necessary. He is able to make the plan, the purpose, the dream, the call fit within the unpredictable seasons of human life and the uncontrollable influence of other people around us. He is even able to come into the midst of the mess, or perhaps its aftermath, and begin the clear-up job, taking the chaos that is found in the wake of trauma and putting things back into a new order and bringing something beautiful out of it. He is able to do exceedingly and abundantly more than we can ever ask or imagine, because all things have been committed to him by the Father. The question is, have all things been entrusted to him by us? You can't control your today. You have no influence over your tomorrow, and it might even be that yesterday is still filling your rearview mirror and consuming your everything. But there is rest for the soul wearied and burdened, and it's in the yoke with the one who is gentle and humble in heart. It's in connection to Jesus. And such connection is found when we realise we can't change yesterday, we have no control over today, and we haven't a clue what lies in tomorrow, but we don't need to, because Jesus does. We just need to entrust and commit all things to the one who is able to do exceedingly and abundantly more than we could ask or imagine. Today, stop. Give it to Jesus. Hand over yesterday. Give him today, and relinquish tomorrow into his control. He is able. The Father entrusted everything into Jesus' care. Why don't you?
Piece by little piece, letting go of me, learning just to be, and trust in you, Lord. You're opening my eyes, you're taking back the fight. It was never mine, this war was won by your stripes. Should oceans rise or mountains fall, I'm held within your hands, whatever comes against. I know your love is sure and faithful, Lord. There's no one like you, you give strength to my soul. I know this healing when I lift your name. There's no dark will bow down. We stand in his promise now. Let your faith rise, let it pour out. Let your hope build, heaven's here now. For where the light is, dark will bow down. We stand in his promise now.